Hey, customers, welcome back to another episode of Fast Film, where we cover all the news and reviews just for you. This week, we're doing October 25th through 30th. So let's get into some trailers. First trailer this week, there's a trailer for Lisa Frankenstein. It's kind of a play on the classic Frankenstein story. This time, it's a teenage girl played by Catherine Newton, bringing back a Victorian teenager. She's trying to build him into the perfect guy. It's set in like the 80s. Looks kind of stupid funny. It'll be in theaters on February 9th.
Stupid funny is the best. But David Fincher, who directed one of my all-time favorite movies, Fight Club, is teaming up with Michael Fassbender, who I also enjoy, for a new Netflix movie, The Killer. Michael Fassbender is going to be an assassin in this one, who's going up against his employers, who may have crossed him in this one. This looks pretty sick. It looks pretty good. I get a mixture of a little bit of John Wick mixed with the accountant in it. It looks pretty good. It's in select theaters right now, but it's going to be releasing on Netflix on November 10th.
And we got a trailer for Finest Kind. It's a movie starring Jenna Ortega, Tommy Lee Jones, and Ben Foster. They're a bunch of fishermen. They got to go travel into some dangerous waters to pay off some debts they're all been collecting. It's going to be releasing on December 15th.
And Bradley Cooper is directing and starring in Maestro, a love story of a conductor-composer, Leonard Bernstein, and Felicia, I can't pronounce his last name, Montelagre? Something like that. Although it seems like Bradley Cooper's character is gay, but he's married to Felicia. So there's going to be some crazy shit that happens in this one. It's in select theaters on November 22nd, but a month later on Netflix, it will be releasing on December 20th. But it looks pretty much like Oscar bait to me.
Yeah. So we got a trailer for Dashing Through the Snow. It's a new movie with Rel Howery and Ludacris. It's a Christmas movie that's coming to Disney Plus. Howery's playing Santa. Ludacris is playing the divorced dad. Looks like a typical Christmas movie. It's going to be on Disney Plus on November 17th.
And Jesse Eisenberg and Adrian Brody are starring in a film called Manodrome. Jesse seems to be what looks like a bodybuilder in this one, who's questioning his life and his girlfriend's pregnancy, and meets Adrian Brody, who's a mysterious character with a group of guys who they call themselves a family. It seems like a mixture of Fight Club with bodybuilders and occults. It looks a little weird. It looks interesting. It's going to be releasing on November 10th.
And we got a trailer for Good Burger 2. Keenan and Kel are returning to Good Burger. For anybody who doesn't know, Good Burger was a sketch on All That and also was a movie when I was a kid. I mean, it's kind of funny to see them returning to this. It's going to be going on Paramount Plus on November 22nd. And then for headlines, welcome to Good Burger, home with a good burger. Can I take your order? Now let's get into some fucking headlines. So our first headline this week is Sicario 3. Looks like it's in the works with Emily Blunt, Josh Brolin, and Benicio del Toro all looking to return. The Sicario movies are really good, so if you haven't checked those out, definitely recommend them. The first one's by Denis Villeneuve, who's now the Dune guy. When I got to meet Josh Brolin, these are the movies he and I talked about, and it seems like they really enjoyed doing these, so it's cool that they're going to be doing another one. Definitely looking forward to it.
Those movies are sick.
Yeah.
And now for a little bit of Halloween news. The writer of Hocus Pocus 3 promised to explore more of the story, hoping to get more of the younger witches, kind of like a prequel style. But no word on if they're going to make it into a film or maybe a series. Nothing on that yet. But he did also say that he really wants to also keep the adult versions of the Sanderson sisters as well. So we'll see how this comes out. I've never even seen the second one yet. I keep forgetting there's a sequel, but we'll see how this goes out.
Yeah. And then Guillermo del Toro recently talked about his canceled Star Wars project. He planned on making a Jabba the Hutt movie in the style of Scarface, kind of showing the rise of Jabba becoming the crime lord that we got to see in the original trilogy. It's really too bad this got canceled, because I'm sure it would have been kind of cool to see this one and seeing like the rise of Jabba, especially with Guillermo del Toro attached. I mean, he's a great director.
Jabba's like kind of guy.
He's the big like slug monster.
Oh, sick. That gross as looking dude.
Yeah, exactly.
And now to end the headlines with some tragic news. Unfortunately, Matthew Perry has passed away of an apparent drowning at the age of 54. Matthew Perry is known for being Chandler Bing on Friends, which is one of my all-time favorite shows. I remember watching it as a kid. Still to this day, me and my family quote shit from this show. It's such a great show. Sadly, he has passed away, though. He did have issues with alcohol and prescription pill problems, but as of now, there's no foul play. There's no other drugs aside from prescription, sadly, on scene. But as the autopsy hasn't came out yet, there's not much word on it just yet. But unfortunately, he has passed away. So little moment of silence for Chandler Bing. And now some reviews.
Yeah, Chandler Bong passed away this week.
Chandler Bong, yeah, the
Uh,
magazines.
Yeah, so let's get into some reviews. I watched Pluto this week, which is Netflix's new anime series. Stories about a robot detective that's put in charge of investigating the deaths of like the seven strongest robots on Earth and their companions. I'm not personally a huge fan of anime, but the first episode of the show was pretty good. It really gave off like kind of Blade Runner vibes. If you like anime, I think this would be a good show to check out. It gets a dope from me.
And Pete Holmes has new stand up on Netflix, and I wasn't very familiar with him and his stand up. I have seen small clips of him on YouTube, but not much aside from that. But I gotta say, honestly, the jokes weren't my cup of tea. I wasn't very into it. I would catch myself just kind of dozing off. Well, not dozing off like falling asleep, but just dozing off onto my phone, getting more distracted by that. I think I would way rather watch Shane Gillis' stand up again on Netflix. But for me, it's a nope as of now.
Yeah, Pete Holmes does those really good videos on YouTube though that are called Batcanned that I definitely recommend, where he's like Batman firing the rest of the members of the Justice League. Those are really good.
I've never seen that.
Yeah, those are solid. So I watched I've watched two documentaries that dropped on Netflix this week. This first one being Life on Our Planet. It's going to be Morgan Freeman's narrating this nature documentary. The doc covers like different time periods and on our planet and all the different life that's been on planet Earth, including like the 99% of species that have gone extinct and what's left. So each episode kind of covers a different ecosystem, different periods of time. It's actually really good. And of course, Morgan Freeman has such a great voice. So it's awesome to listen to him talk about this kind of stuff. I really enjoyed this. I mean, I really like seeing all the different time periods. They also made it pretty colorful with all the like going back and showing the different dinosaurs and stuff. I think if you're a fan of nature documentaries or maybe looking for something to watch when you're stoned, I would recommend this. It's going to get a dope from me. And then the other Netflix documentary I watched this week is Get Gotti. It's about the Teflon Don himself, John Gotti. It's a quick miniseries. It's only 3 episodes. It covers like how he rose to power and the 2 different trials that he went through, including the first one where he got away with like a bunch of shit. There's also a really terrible movie based on John Gotti starring John Travolta, and it's fucking terrible. If you're a fan of crime documentaries and like, I mean, I enjoy them, so it was cool to watch this quick 3-episode one. It's definitely going to get a dope from me.
And Apple TV and DreamWorks released a new cartoon called Curses. It's a cartoon for kids. It's not like the adult versions, but it's about 2 siblings and a couple artifacts that are sentient, and they're trying to save their family from a family curse. Sorry, got a little seizure there. I watched the first 2 episodes, and the animation style kind of reminds me of a Crackdown a bit. If you ever played the game, you know what I'm talking about. The humor can be funny at times, but like I said, it's more for kids. If you have kids, I do suggest you watch this show because, I mean, I started watching it. My daughter was home. She ended up sticking more into it than I did. So it is a fun show to watch with the kids, but it's not something I'm going to stick on for myself by myself. But it's an eye for me. But if you have kids, it's a dope.
And then on Hulu, they dropped the first 4 episodes of American Horror Stories. It's like an anthology series done by the same creator of American Horror Story. The first episodes, none of them are particularly scary. The second one is definitely just more of a Black Mirror kind of episode, just without the high quality. They're all just really okay. Like, none of them were particularly scary. The first one's kind of dumb. Like, it doesn't really make any sense, like why this girl would bite into it. If you're desperate for a show like this or just a huge fan of American Horror Story, check it out. But otherwise, there's a lot better stuff out there. It's a night kind of leaning to a nope.
Never desperate enough to watch fucking American Horror Stories.
Yeah.
But Apple TV released a new documentary called the Enfield Poltergeist. I always get confused if it's Einfield, but it's Enfield, which once again is a documentary based on an event that was also in a Conjuring movie. I believe it was the second one that they based it on. Of course, as all other horror movies or horror documentaries, it's just interviews with reenactments just happening, and that's kind of generic. But the cool thing they do with this one is that they do reenact what happens in the scenes, but they have all these audio tapes from what happened, so the actors are lip syncing what happened. So what you're hearing is actually what happened on scene at the poltergeist, at the exorcisms, and all the shit they do. So to me, that is pretty cool, and for that, I am giving it an I. Aside from that, if it wasn't for that, I think it's a note from me, but it's an I just because of the audio and how they work with it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. And then Netflix's new movie that they dropped this week was Pain Hustlers, starring Emily Blunt and Chris Evans. Didn't know it was going to be a true story, but of course it makes sense. Just this movie shows the greed that came along with selling like the pharmaceuticals and these pain pills that we've seen before. I mean, Netflix already dropped a show called Pain Killers, which was really good with Matthew Broderick. It's basically the same story, just this is more focused on the people selling the drugs. I mean, Chris Evans, Emily Blunt, and Andy Garcia all play their parts well. It's not a great movie. Like I'm saying, go watch Painkillers instead. It's a way better telling of this kind of story. Still on Netflix. It's just gonna get an eye from me.
And FNAF finally released this weekend. And for all you boomers that don't know what that means, it's Five Nights at Freddy's. And boy, I gotta say, I was excited for this one, and I was let the fuck down with this one. This movie, as all movies that are pretty much adapted from video games, kind of always hit the mark. Sometimes they do hit the mark, but usually 99% of the time they never get it. And this is one of those movies that didn't get it. It wasn't scary. It was super cheesy, but I mean, how can it not be cheesy when it's animatronics? The one thing I did have issues with is what spoiler here. So if you haven't seen it, just fucking skip ahead or just end it. But the kids were found in the animatronics dead, but the animatronics are still at the fucking at the pizza place. I'm like, wouldn't they take them as evidence? Why would they just leave them there? But it is rated PG-13, and once again, for me, in my opinion, I feel like PG-13 horror movies also hit the mark. There are some good ones out there as well, but just usually also hit the mark or miss the mark. But if you want to see it, it is in theaters, and it is also playing free on Peacock, which I highly recommend. If you're gonna watch it, don't spend any money on it because this was shit. But for some deep cuts for Halloween.
Yeah, so for our deep cuts this week, and this episode's dropping on Halloween, we're recommending movies that actually take place on Halloween. We'd be missing out if
on
we
Halloween. I picked the wrong. Then I just picked the Halloween movie.
Oh my god! Yeah, it's supposed to be on Halloween.
Oops,
So
sorry.
that's why I went with the classic. I picked Halloween, starring Jamie Lee Curtis. Everyone should know about this movie already. It's the first appearance of Michael Myers, the psychotic murderer that's spun off a series of like 13 films now. I mean, if you haven't seen this one, definitely go check it out because it's just one of the classic horror movies of all time. It's really worth watching. Jamie Lee Curtis is great. It's on Amazon right now for $2.99, so I'd definitely go check it out if you somehow haven't seen this before.
And for my fucked up pick for deep cuts, I totally forgot it was supposed to be for Halloween, on Halloween, not for Halloween. But I picked a horror movie, not a Halloween movie. I'm picking 13 Ghosts, who stars Matthew Lillard, who's actually also in Five Nights at Freddy's. So a man played by Tony Shalhoub. If you don't know Tony Shalhoub, he's Monk. Who was on USA, I believe. He inherits a house from his rich uncle, who just recently passed away, only to find out the house is haunted by 13 ghosts being held captive in a collection inside the home. And they're super dangerous. Fucking great movie. It's crazy. And Matthew Lillard is like the one person in the house that knows the ghosts and what types they are and how to defeat them. And I think one of my favorite parts of this movie is that they have to wear special glasses that are just clear to see the ghosts. But it's a dope movie. If you're into horror movies, check this one out. It is on AMC Plus, so it's a subscription. But if you have Amazon Prime, it is on Amazon Prime for $3.99. So the subscription doesn't help you there, sadly. But once again, customers, thanks for tuning in. Let us know what your favorite Halloween movie is. That'd be fucking cool to see someone write something in the comments.
Anybody write something.
Anybody, can you hear me? Please make sure to like and subscribe and check out the next episode we have next week.